Hey, folks. Well, I'm not able to do the webinar for some reason. It's weird. It says unable to access YouTube Live through Zoom. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That's going to be a problem if I can't use the webinar. That's the first time we've had that issue. So that's not good. I like being able to use the webinar function of Zoom, but for some reason it's not. I don't know why. But and we'll come back around that later. But anyway, that's too bad. I was wanting to share some Right Capital stuff with you. I don't know what's going on with that. That's not good. Rob, what's going on? Tom, Que Paso. That is weird. Hold on a second. I'm gonna see if I can't. I'm gonna try. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna try something again. Bear with me just a second, guys. I'm gonna try going on to. See if I can't do this live from the. Yeah, that is weird. All right, well, I'm not able to go online. Vic, Joseph, what's going on for some reason? So I'm not sure what that's about. But I was hoping to do a webinar, but it's not letting me go live. Use Zoom, so I don't know what that's about. So that's not good. Hendo, North Carolina. Don, Que Paso. Just as an FYI, I'm sharing emails with you. Talat, hey, hello, to sign up for the Google groups that my man Scott had created. Police, CJ, Karen, right on, Dallas, North Spoon Farm up in New York. All right, all right. What kind of product do you sell up there, CJ? Cheryl from Texas, hey. And anyway, so you should, if you're on Right Capital, you should be getting an email. It only lets me set out so many each day, so not everybody will get it in one fell swoop about the Right Capital Google groups. Somebody told me yesterday, I forgot who it was, that was in her junk mail. So just check your junk mail. It's just like, hey, Marie, apple, peaches, pears, plums, and blueberries, right on. Ben M, right on. Rob, Google Groups is just like a web group, like a help, not helpline, but hey, Starling, what's going on? Yeah, it's just like a website. I don't even want to say website. I guess a listserv, I guess, if that makes sense, where people go in there and they post questions. It's like the Bogleheads. Have you ever been? It's like a forum. That's what it is, a forum. Like Ahoy, AK, a Bogleheads thing where people just go in there, post stuff, and other people post other things. Mike, so it's pretty good. We'll see. So I think what's going to happen is, I'm hoping, is that people will be putting stuff on there that they found of significant help to them, and then other people might have questions. Other people can help them out, if that makes sense. So that's what my premise is. You got the invite an hour ago. Okay, cool, Don. Yeah, so you're a G. Okay, good. It like I said, it lets me do so many people on any given day, and then it says you can't invite anymore. I'm just making sure Pablo's back there. But anyway, so if you signed up for Right Capital and you don't get the invite, then within the next 48 hours, please check your junk mail, because I did find out that someone got it in their junk mail, and so we want you to be access it for sure. Big A, I'm not. I mean, I don't do anything with it in terms of me. It's just you guys. If you want, I don't control it. I just don't care. But it's helpful, I think, for other people to say, hey, I'm having this issue with Right Capital. I'm having this issue with Right Capital. Anyone have any suggestions, whatnot? Green Spros, Dave from Green Cove Springs, Florida. Curtis says he just now got the invite. All right, cool, man. Good. Huh. All right, sweet. That's good, because you're a B. I haven't. That's weird. I thought I sent him up alphabetical order, but that's cool. All good, all good. Daniel, right on. Need Right Capital through you to join group. What if I have it through somebody else? No, I don't. I mean, I can't. If you want to send me an email, I'll give you the invite for sure. If you have it through somebody else, that's fine. That's not a problem at all. I just, I don't know how many people have it through somebody else, but that's fine. I got no problem with that. Gulf Shores, Alabama, right on. Doug and Carla. Retirement is great, says Doug. Yeah, watch the Browns slide down the hole of helplessness. I tell you, that's a whole lot closer game, Don, than the score indicates for sure. I tell you, man, the Pats, they just get lucky. There's no other way around that. The Browns had, some pretty good plays that were called back because of offensive pass interference. One was a pretty elaborate pick. You can't do that. But this last play, just, a little bit of a push off. Refs yeah. Look, I love the Patriots, but I'm just like, come on, man. I mean, just that little bit of push shouldn't negate a 40-yard play. I hate that because, I mean, you can call a penalty on any play you want. And so, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I was watching the game. I was like, man, we're getting all the calls for us, that's for sure. And they were pretty significant calls. So when they call the penalty and they say the Browns had 4 penalties for 40 yards, that's not actually indicative of how much yards they lost from plays that were called back. It's nuts. Anyway, that's the first week I've watched any football this year. I watched LSU Auburn yesterday. And I watched the Pats and the Browns today. I watched about a half of the Falcons and the Seahawks. And the Falcons, I don't really I can't stand the Seahawks, so I like the Falcons to beat them. But, man, you can't be going for 4th and 1 on your own 30 when just freaking 5 minutes ago you tried to attempt a 51-yard field goal on 4th and 1. Just the play call in the NFL is so stupid. It's like these guys are so scared. Anyway. Yeah, you haven't received it yet, Rob? Yeah, check your. Yeah, you should have. So definitely check your junk mail for sure. Because I've sent it out. Hold on a sec. Yeah, you definitely should get that. Chris from Maine, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, if you're L, you've definitely received it. So definitely check your email somehow. It'd be under. Like I said, your junk mail, your spam mail, Google, Gmail, we get promotions, we get regular. So check it for sure. All right, so let's see. All right, so a couple things I want to talk about. So I did a video earlier today on Social Security, and everyone has an issue with the cost of living adjustments, and it's weird. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Is like they'll say, "Hey, I'm using a trustees report." I mean, literally, you can use whatever you want, but I'm going to use a trustees report because that's the best we can do. And the trustees report says they expect a 2.6 cost of living adjustment from now on for the next 75 years. They don't say every single year they're going to get that, but they say on average that's what they expect. I don't know what else you would use. You could use 0%, and then I'd say, okay, what are we going to use for health insurance? And the same people who are griping about using a 2.6% COLA generally are the same people who say we should use a 5 or 6% cost of living adjustment for health expenses. I'm like, why? And, I mean, if the trustees report for Social Security and the trustees report for CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they're 2 different trustees, but they both use their research methodology, and they say for cost of living adjustment for Social Security under the intermediate assumptions, which is what we all use, is 2.6. The CMS says their cost of living adjustments for Medicare funding is 5%. So what I find, I chuck on this. People say, I don't want to use a 2.6 cost of living adjustment for Social Security. I said, okay, so we don't want to have anything for Medicare either. And they said, no, I want to have a lot for Medicare. Look, you do whatever you want. Your plan. I could care less. I just don't get that. I don't get why you say I'm going to have a high cost of living adjustment expense for Medicare and a low cost of living adjustments for Social Security. It just seems to me that there's a discrepancy of some sort. So anyway, I use 2.6 because literally it is what the Social Security Administration says, and I use 5% for Medicare, and that's I've got that baked into the right capital as well. So I don't know. I just you don't have to use it. I don't care, but a lot of people, it's only 2.1. Or look, this is the intermediate assumptions, which says we're going to have 2034. There isn't enough money in the trust fund to pay 100% of the benefits. And, I've argued against those assumptions till I'm blue in the face for sure, because I think they're actually a lot more pessimistic than reality is. But that's what they say, 2.6. So, and this is one of the things I do find somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? Frustrating, actually, because people want to have like the worst of both worlds. They want to say, like I said, a high Medicare inflated adjustment. And I tell you, the funny thing is the irony of it all is last year, the Medicare Part B went up from $134 to $135.50. All right. So we had a $1.50 increase in Medicare on 134. So that was literally a 1.1% increase in Medicare premiums. And yeah, Social Security last year was up like 2.8 or something like that. So I find it odd that people get all caught up in saying Social Security cost living adjustments will be minimal, but the Medicare will be high. When experience, if you're going to use experience, you'd say it'd be the opposite, because Medicare last year was only up by $1.50 for Part B. I think Part D was up like 40 cents or something like that. It's nuts. It's hardly anything. So anyway, I look, and this same kind of thing with investments too. I try not to allow myself to fall for like my own thought process on where investments will be, what cost of living. I don't want to do that, because then I think you can get caught up in like, well, I don't know, Trump does a tweet, maybe the investments, prognosis will be less. And I think you have to have something solid that you're going to just, hang your hat on and say, this is what we're going to use. And the reason for that is these legitimate reasons for usage. And going back to investments, I have stocks at 7.5, I have bonds at 3, and I have cash at 1, going back to Right Capital. So if we look at investments, we have stocks at 7.5, bonds at 3, cash at 1. We have Social Security at 2.6 and Medicare at 5. Now the end user can adjust their appreciation on their home, whatever they want. I don't control that. That's completely up to you. Some people have no appreciation, which I challenge to some degree, because if you have no appreciation on your fair market value of your home, you're also not going to have any appreciation in the cost for property taxes and the homeowners insurance as well. So again, I don't want to get into the debate about what your specific home is going to be worth in 10 years. But if you're expecting to have no growth for 10, 15, 20 years, that just seems odd to me. It really does. But you can do it. You can do that on the plan for sure. And Right Capital, you can't change the investments. You can't. And the reason for that is because at the end of the day, I use the investments and I've locked that down. And I use it, like I said, a million times a Sunday, based on John Bogle, Robert Schiller, and Jeremy Siegel. I said, what do they expect? And in Vanguard, I'll say, okay, I'm pretty confident with that, and I'll extrapolate that info for not just for the next 10 years, because Bogle obviously is dead, but Schiller, Siegel, Vanguard, they'll look at expectations for the next 10 years. And I'm literally using those lower expectations and putting in for the next, as long as you're going to be alive, according to the plan. So I just think at the end of the day, I don't think I get too caught up so, I mean, if you think about it, just go back to Social Security. A $1,000 PIA, that's your primary insurance amount. If that grows by 2.6%, that's at $26. All right. So if it grows by 1.6%, that's $16. That's literally $10. I mean, that's not a huge difference in the overall scheme of things. Compounded over 30 years times, that's it's a decent amount of money. But we're not talking about enough to make the planning scenario irrelevant, if that makes sense. So I just think a lot of people get too caught up in the inertia. And the reason I would even say this again, you're using everything on a linear trajectory when it comes to planning. I mean, when it comes to Monte Carlo analysis, you're not, but a Monte Carlo analysis, as we talked about before, using, what's that guy's name? I'm drawing a blank. Jim Otis. The Monte Carlo is very weak on the third standard deviations. It's very weak on the black tails, essentially, the black swans. So because of that, a lot of assumptions are going in, even if you use Monte Carlos. So a linear rate of return for an analysis is always challenging, but at some point you got to start someplace, if that makes sense. And I just you start someplace and you say, okay, if that works and we're doing pretty good, what happens if we have variability? And that's where the Monte Carlo can come in for sure. But even Monte Carlo has some shortfalls for sure. You're never going to get, and I do find a lot of people want to have this specific end result that says this will happen. And you're just never going to get that. At some point, you just got to say, look, it's 4th and 1, I'm going for it. And hell's bells will let the chips fall where they may. I hate to sound negative on that, but I just get that a lot. I'm sitting there thinking, look, man, you got to use something to start. And once you use that, just go with it. And then you can adjust accordingly for sure. But if the problem that I have seen in my career is people will use something today and then something else tomorrow and something else the next day. And that's not a plan. That's being reactionary. That's just not worth it. So anyway, I wanted to point that out about Right Capital, and about Social Security adjustments, and about Medicare. Because I'm telling you, everyone says Medicare is going to go up, health costs. And yet it didn't happen last year. But I'm still going to default to CMS, which says they expect a 5% increase. I'm going to default to that. Because as much as I don't trust the government as far as I could kick them, They have the actuaries and they have the statisticians who say this is our what we project. And I think that's the best you can do, other than just pulling something out of the air. All right, but man, we got the World Series tonight too, Game 5. So that's so we got the I forgot who's playing the football game tonight, but the World Series is coming on, so we're competing against that. But it looks like baseball ratings are the lowest they've ever been, from my understanding. So that's too bad. Baseball is a great sport. I'm sad to see it go. I don't pay any. I haven't watched a baseball game in years, which is too bad, because I was a huge baseball fan growing up. I loved, obviously, the Sox. I love the Dodgers. Huge baseball fan, but I just don't care, which is too bad. I mean, at the end of the day, it's baseball. Obviously, when the Red Sox won the World Series, that was kind of the icing on the cake for me. But I'll never forget watching the Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and that series was insanely intense. And my brother was at Game 7 in Phoenix, by the way, and that was just insane. I mean, that was insane. And baseball, it's hard to get any more. It's just sad to see such a great sport go down the tubes. I mean, just 20 years from now, baseball will be an afterthought, which is too bad, because baseball is part of American past. But just like horse racing, just like boxing, I mean, those things are behind us. Same thing will happen in baseball. 25 years from now, the NFL will be kind of like baseball is today. I don't know what the new sports will be, but I hope there's some, man, because sports, I enjoy sports. I hope there's some kind of competitive sporting events that still draw your attention. It's sad to see baseball. I enjoy it, but I still I don't watch it. It's too bad. Anyway, so I'm still going for the Nats. The Washington Nationals winning the World Series would be pretty doggone cool. But the fact they're letting some anti-Trump guy throw out the first pitch in Game 5 tonight, and not letting the Trumpsters throw out the first pitch, DC is such a swampland. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, come on, it just not letting Trump throw out the first. I guarantee you Obama was able to throw out the first pitch in various World Series games. And so the whole political thing is crazy. I don't get it. It's the president of the United States, man. Let the dude throw out the first pitch and whatever. But I just find it's in DC, and the Nationals are so political. They're going to let some anti-Trump guy. It's crazy. All right. So Curtis says, I'm going to retire at 64, which will be in 6 months. Right on. It would seem like there'd be a checklist or something I could just check off the things I need to do. Checklist. Yeah, I mean, I guess you just look in, type it into a checklist, online for sure, about the things you need to do. I work with clients. This is what I say, and I always talk about estate planning, and for sure, because that's the biggest one, Curtis, is just make sure you got your estate planning in order. But in terms of a checklist, there's so many things to look at. I don't know what it would be. I don't know what it consists of. My course, I'm going to talk a lot about. It won't be a checklist per se, but it's going to be about activities people need to do, for sure. And the course I'm working on, we're going to talk a lot about Social Security, lots about Social Security, lots about expenses. I think the most important thing is I was running some scenarios today for Single Susie, and that's the reference of a video I did that I posted today. But I did a bunch more for my course on Single Susie, and I had her spending $3,000 a month right out the gate at 62 years old, and that's pretty high. I think that's pretty high for a single person. But I'm using that because I'm trying to err on the side of pessimism. But the point was that if the expenses aren't, you can have all the investments, so you can do anything you want, but if no one's focused on investments. Hey, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, brother. Rob just super chatted me, $4.99. If you're not focused on the expenses, that I don't understand. And that's my concern. And so when I do my course, I'm showing people, like, look, this is what we're getting. We're getting this for healthcare. So we're using Part B, Part D, Medicare supplement. We're using co-pays. We're using ears and nose, or ears and eyes and whatnot. And we're using $5,000 a year per person. We're also looking at property taxes, homeowners insurance. We're looking at utilities. We're looking at this stuff. We're looking at, just your gas. We're looking at your auto insurance. So looking at all these different things. So the checklist I would suggest would be focus on the expenses, knock that down, and not just take So I'm using Susie single. So I got Susie single. I'm saying she's making 50,000 gross before while she's working. I say while she's working, she's making $50,000 a year. That's gross. All right. But I have her spending in retirement $36,000 a year, $3,000 a month. And there's no reason for that in this regard other than $3,000 a month is a nice round number. And I think that's probably in the high end, frankly. For a lot of single folks, I don't think they spend that much, especially if they have no mortgage. But anyway, so I'm saying, okay, so for Susie, and we dove into the expenses exactly. We looked at healthcare, we looked at property tax, we looked at this, we looked at that, and of course I go in that deeply. Looked at utility bills, the various kilowatt hours she's using and whatnot, all this stuff. The natural gas, the water, the sewer, all that stuff, and who knows what it'll be, but you can get a pretty good gauge of that kind of expenditures. You might not know exactly what it's going to cost to eat because normally you eat, I don't know what you do while you're working, but you can get a pretty good gauge of kilowatt hours. You can get a pretty good gauge of your water bill, your cable bill, your phone, all that stuff. You can get a gauge of that stuff. Not to have that at the ready as you're getting ready to retire, I find it be crazy talk, because if you don't know that kind of info, how do you know what your expenditures are? And if you don't know what your expenditures are, how can you know if you can afford to retire? And the whole thing about retiring is, can you afford it? Well, if you don't know what it costs you, how do you know if you can't afford it or not? That's actually a pretty good line, I have to say. But anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, Susie, you're going to spend $36,000 a year divided by 50,000. You're going to have a 72% replacement ratio. Now, for my couple, and I forgot to name them, so we got Susie single. We'll just say Bob and Jane. I'm having them making $80,000 a year, and they're going to spend $50,000. So they have 50 divided by 80. They're going to have a 62.5% replacement ratio. But I didn't just do it from some stupid Fidelity website. I'm doing it because I'm saying, look, we got 10,000 for Bob and Jane for healthcare. We got 10,000. I forget. We had 10,000 for healthcare. Other thing I can't remember off the top of my head. But we got this. We're breaking it down to get a gauge of the expenditures, and then we're going to inflate it as well. And so we know for Bob, and that makes sense. A single person household costs more than a dual person household. We know this for a fact. That's why it's cheaper to live as a unit as opposed to living single. It's just a fact. Now, because of that, 62.5% replacement ratio for Bob and Jane relative to 70% Susie, I think is spot on. Now, at the end of the day, and look, I've done this a million times a Sunday for retirement. I'm just telling you, I have yet to find too many single, and most of the people I deal with who are single are pretty frugal. I don't know. I don't have a whole, this is just me. Now, these are self-selected people. I get that. My experience and my planning, and this is not scientific at all, just my own experiences, that people get by with a whole lot less than they think. I had a guy post today. They said, "Oh, if you're living at $3,000 a month, you're essentially living in a trailer park, just one step away from poverty." I said, I don't get that at all. And I noted it back, said, man, you must run with some real wealthy people, because tons of people get by just fine on $36,000 a year, because I deal with them all the time. So with Susie single, we have her needing $36,000 a year. She has $137,000 in a 401k at 62, with a benefit of like $1,200 or something like that at 62, and $1,800 at 67. So she has. It's interesting, actually. I love doing this. So we're just saying, can we make this work? And we're doing 4 or 5 different models. We're doing the same thing for Bob and Jane. So Susie's got, I think it's 137 in a 401k at 62. A house that's worth 150. She needs $3,000 a month, and she has her Social Security, which is based on her average index monthly earnings, which we go over all that stuff. And we say, okay, this is what you got. And we even incorporate reverse mortgages in. And in this case, you said, you can't do it, Susie. And then we said, at 62, it's just not going to work. Then at 65, it gets closer. It's still not going to work, even taking in reverse mortgages. At 67, we're right there. I would probably, my preference would for her to stay till 68. But again, we're inflating the expenditures. We're inflating Social Security. We're inflating everything else, including investment returns. And that's the only way to do it. So going back to the checklist thing, I just think you got to get a gauge of expenses. I think that's the most important thing. When I do it, here's what I'm doing, Curtis. When I hit that time, I'm getting my gauge of expenses. And hopefully, for heaven's sake, I hope, heaven forbid, I have a mortgage. But I'm getting a gauge of expenses, and I'm saying, okay, I need this to live on. How do I know that? Because I keep my utility bill at right here. I keep this sucker at the ready. I mean, I'm looking right now at my kilowatt hours used. I know what it is down to a T. So I want to make sure that my kilowatt hours used are going down. I want to make sure my water bill is going down. I want to make sure these various things are going down because it's just a cost. And I don't want to carry that cost in for the next 20, 25 years. Obviously, I'm not going to be living in this house when it's just Charlotte and me. So my kilowatt hours will go way down. But anyway, so that's what the number one checklist is what are your friggin' expenses? You got to know this. And look, you don't have to know if it costs 25 cents for $1,000 grand bar versus 27 cents with tax. You don't have to know that, but you got to get a gauge, man. You got to get a gauge. That was so critical. As people get bored, they said, this guy Josh, he just talks about expenses because nothing else matters. All right, so let's keep going down. Anyway, I appreciate that. A good job retiring. Why the blue wrench? Those are people I had, AK, who monitor. I haven't had a lot of crazy cracks on here lately, but a couple weeks ago we had some freaking idiots, and I said, look, a couple things I can't stand. I can't stand anti-Semitism, and I can't stand racism. I can't stand it. And frankly, I can't stand any anti-religious stuff, but anti-Semitism, that's just weak sauce, man. I don't get it. I mean, Jews are such a small percentage of the population. Talk about a bully going after Jews. I hate it. And yet we get anti-Jew people all the time. It drives me freaking crazy. I mean, if you want to be a tough guy, go after other religions, which will fight back. Jews don't, and because they are a special breed to me that need to be defended at all times because they're very few and far between. And they don't need me to defend them. But at the end of the day, I hate bullies. And I think picking on Jews is easy. That's easy stuff. Anyone can do that. It's boring. And yet I hate that. I don't care if you pick on Christians. I mean, look, you're silly. I just laugh at people who do that. But picking on Christians is one thing. But picking on Jews, that drives me crazy. And I hate racism in all shapes and sizes. But unfortunately, we have some people go in here and they do stuff like that about racist and anti-Jew stuff. And just being sexual innuendo, it's just, sometimes I feel like I got a 14-year-old kid on here, 14-year-old boy who just learned a couple naughty words from maybe he was watching South Park, and now he's like going on here. And so we got some guys, my man Big A, Jerry, and Tom Major, and and others if they want, who just monitor and police that crap up for me. So my man CJ Poley up in New York, he has apples, peaches, pears, plums, and blueberries up his farm. That's pretty cool. So CJ, do you sell on site, or do you? If you want to put your address in here, put it in here, man. If you take visitors up there who can buy stuff on site, there's nothing better than a fresh apple. Oh man, when we were in Washington and we went to Wenatchee, some people call it Wenatchee. They don't know what they're talking about. It's Wenatchee. Man, we had some fresh apples. You don't need candy when you have a fresh apple. Did I ever tell you when we lived in Phoenix? In Phoenix, they got irrigation. So the Mormons have these lands where they're farming cotton and they're farming something else out there in Phoenix. I forgot what the other thing they're farming. But anyway, they have irrigation off the Colorado River. So they just open up the flood, literally the flood, and they literally flood parts of Phoenix. And we lived in a place in the city where it was flooded. So I think they did it like once or twice a month. And anyway, long story short, it was flipped. So our backyard would be, 2 feet deep in water. And man, we had the best pomegranate, the best orange trees, the best grapefruits. Oh, man, you go back there. It was, man, if the good Lord of St. Peter opens up the gates to me to go to heaven, I literally taking a bite out of those things fresh from the tree, that grapefruit. Oh my goodness. It was like heavenly. You're like sitting there thinking, oh, how can anything taste so good? Oh, man, I love it. All right, so my man Starling's watching some golf, sitting in Hawaii. Right on. All right. John Stewart is on the phone here. John Stewart has quit his job on Comedy Central. I'm goofing on you, big man. All right, excited about this, says Rob. He hasn't received the email yet, so that's weird. So we definitely want to make sure we're getting the emails, that's for sure. Mike C says, let's make a deal with millennials. We forgive your student loans if you forego any future Social Security benefits, but still pay in. I was reading an article the other day that there's not as much student loan debt as people are making out to seem. And I thought that was actually quite interesting. I thought that was quite interesting, actually, because we are all led to believe that all the average students have $100,000 of debt. I don't think it's worth it anymore to get some stupid. I don't even, regardless of student loans, if you're getting a degree in social justice, that's just a waste of your time. I don't even care if you got a rich mom and she's paying for it. You're wasting 4 years of your life learning stupid stuff and being inundated with propaganda. I don't think it's worth it. Now, it's definitely not worth it if you're getting a journalism degree and you got $100,000 of debt from Columbia University. I went to Ivy League. No one cares, man. No one cares. Only people who care are the deep state, but they already have enough people like that. You're competing with 8 other 1,000 million people who want to be just like that. Those guys. No one else cares. So I'm telling you right now, if you're sitting there thinking, I want to change the world, I'm going to go to Columbia Journalism School and I'm going to have $150,000 of debt so I can get Trump or I can get Nixon or I can get whoever you want. Dude, you got 1,000 people in front of you trying to do that. Do something else. If you want to change the world, do some other way to change the world, man. But anyway, it was interesting because at the end of the day, there wasn't that much debt, at least according to this article. And off the top of my head, I can't remember where I saw it from. My man in Bangor says it's cold. Let's take a look. Yeah, right there. It says Tom, expenses. So let's see what it's like on Peaks Island. Right there, it's raining and 50 degrees. And you can see we got 30s coming up. 30 degrees coming up later on this week. Burr. Does Social Security Administration use your bend points from the year you begin taking or the year you use them from your first year of eligibility? I don't know. I think it's based on your full retirement age. That's what I think. And Mike says it's based on when you take benefits. No, that makes sense, right? No, but would it make sense? Because your primary insurance amount is what determines your benefit, and the bend points determine what your primary insurance amount. I think it's based on trusted data of the people paying the money. 100% Starling about Social Security. I think it's based on your full retirement age. I don't know for sure, but think about it. We don't know what your PIA is unless we know your full retirement age. And the bend points don't say anything other than telling you what your PIA is. Does that make sense? So the first thing we got to figure out is your average index monthly earnings. We got to figure out your AIME. Once we know that, then we look at the bend points to know what your full retirement age is, to know what your PIA is based on your full retirement age. So I think it's based on what your PIA is, which is based on your full retirement age. And so if you were to have like your Social Security benefit today is based on today's bend points, but that's based on future projections of what your PIA is on your full retirement age. That's what I think. I don't know, though. I've had that question come up a lot. Because if they base it when you take benefits, when you take benefits, it's still based. I guess they wouldn't know. Yeah, I guess that's right. I guess Mike C would be right. Because if they base it when you take benefits, if you took it at 62, I think that's right. I think Mike C is right. It's going to be based on when you take the benefits because they can give you your PIA for this year. But if you're 62 and your PIA is when you're 67, they don't know what the bend points will be those years, but they can give you an estimate. They can give you what your payment would be. I think it's right. Yep. I'm going to go with what Mike C says. That makes sense, actually. Good point, Mike. It's when he takes benefits because you can take benefits well before your full retirement age. Which means they don't know what your bend points will be that year. Yeah, I 100% think that's right. Good call. 361 days until my man Steve retires. But who's counting? I just got Steve. Oh man, just got these 5-pound balls for physical therapy. Ooh, it kind of hurts. But anyway, I got 5 and 2. If you hold up this against the wall and you kind of go like this, believe it or not, that freaking wears you out, dude. So you do like that 30 times, that wears you out. And that feels like a good stretch. Oh man. But you hold this up against the wall and then you hold it like this and you just like tap the wall. Oof, that hurts. That hurts in a good way. Anyway, so you're right on, Steve. Steve knows it. Looking for the invite to Right Capital Group and how to get notified of live sessions. So I do live sessions every Sunday at 7:30 Eastern time. And then every Wednesday, I'm starting to do them at noon Eastern time. We do live sessions. And I'm going to bring my man Amar Amar Shaw, S-H-A-H, not S-H-A-W, Shaw on occasion too. So he'll probably join me a couple times a month just to talk. He has a different take on, he has different software. He's a CFA and a CFP. So he does more investment analysis than I would. And we're not just going to be investment specifics, but just a different take on things. And I enjoy Amar. He's a good guy. And I think he does good work for clients too. So anyway, we're going to bring him on occasion as well. But I was trying to get this thing today on Zoom, and it didn't work. So that kind of concerns me because I like doing webinars. I was hoping to show you some Right Capital stuff, guys, but it didn't let me jump on. It said the YouTube live stream was down through Zoom. So that's the wrong answer. But anyway, 7:30 Eastern every Sunday. And then noon Wednesday afternoons for folks who want to take a lunch break and watch old Josh. Snowy Colorado, says Wendy. What? Man. Should I say it? Should I say it? Weather's not climate. Unless it's hot in the summertime, then weather is climate. But weather's not climate if it's cold outside. Google sucks. So this guy will not want to be on my Google Groups thing for Right Capital. I don't disagree with that, man. I use DuckDuckGo as my search engine. I don't disagree with Google sucks. With that said, Google owns YouTube. YouTube's been wonderful for me. It really has. I mean, just that you guys are here now. Some of you hire me for financial planning. It's insane to me. I freaking love it. And I just, this is my addiction. No other way around it. I think about doing videos like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I only did I did 3 videos. But anyway, I didn't do any videos yesterday. I felt naked. I was like, I'm like a financial planner without his trusty old calculator, not doing a video yesterday. And it's nuts. But Google is corrupt. We know that. But at the end of the day, do I think they're a force for good? For me, yes. For some, no, for sure. I don't think social media is a force for good. Actually, I might have done a video on this actually. But anyway, I was reading how suicides have just jumped up over the last, 10 years among younger folks. And I can't prove it. The article didn't go into it, but you can't tell me doesn't have attributes to social media. You just can't tell me that social media is not causing more and more people to kill themselves. We're talking kids as young as 10. And that friggin' pisses me off. And anyway, look, Facebook pissed me off. It brought the anger out of me. I didn't like it. I didn't like how I felt. So I said, I just got to get off this. And I did. I feel so much better. So much better. And it's like, like I said today, I was doing a thing. I took a walk. I said, when I listen to like Slayer and heavy metal, there's kind of music that brings out the love. There's kind of music that brings out the anger. And speed metal brings out the anger. And other kind of music brings out the love. And even as much as I love speed metal, I don't listen to it very often anymore because I don't like that. I don't like the way it makes me feel. And there's a guy here, a local a pastor named Andy Stanley from North Point Community Church, a non-denominational church, which I enjoy his preaching immensely, but I didn't like the church. I'm Catholic, and Catholic, the dogma and the aura of the consistency of the mass is very helpful for me. But going to North Point was like going to a rock concert, and it was too much for me. Too many things happening. But his preaching is freaking second to none. Anyway, he's telling people to go on their phone and get rid of anything that's sexist, racist, and all that for in terms of the music, hip hop and anything that's just talking smack about women, talking smack about other people. And I thought and I remember you guys a standing ovation when he did that because it's right on, dude. That stuff can bring out the worst in you. And things that bring out the worst in you, you need to separate yourself from. And I'll never forget Andy Stanley saying that. I was like, I remember I have some songs in my head. I said, oh man, it's tough to do because some of the stuff sometimes you like being ticked, you like being mad, and you're not going to act on it. I don't drink. I'm a teetotaler, thank God, but still sometimes you want to. It does, the anger feels good sometimes. No other way around that. But you don't want to live like that. Anyway, I'll never forget Andy Stanley saying get rid of all the crap that's belligerent, that holds women second, citizens, that holds other races second, and all that stuff, and find stuff that makes you a better person. For me, that was a great piece of a sermon. Anyway, So my man Google says, if I retire and living on cash investments before taking Social Security and with a standard deduction, how much can I convert a year without paying taxes? I don't know. That's a tough one. That's actually not that hard to figure out. I mean, well, I'll tell you what. Off the top of my head, I don't know, because I don't know what your expenses are. See, this is what I'm saying, folks. Everything is expenses, but we're going to do a little whiteboard. All right. So let's say we got $30,000 a year in Social Security. That's $2,500 a month. All right. So we're going to say my man Google sucks is single. We got $30,000 a year in Social Security. All right. Is this taxed? Let's go down and ask you guys. Oh, don't forget, I'm going to give 2 subscriptions to the Energy Advocate away. So make sure in the comments you put your city and state. And I'm going to give 2 of these away. Energy Advocate, one of my favorite reading materials ever by my man, physicist named is it Howard Hayden? I forgot. I think it's Howard Hayden out of Colorado, as a matter of fact. Freaking, it is the best reading I've ever had. I love it. I love the Energy Advocate. So 2 ways. So make sure in the comments you put your just town where you're from. Not this comments. In the comments, not on the whatever this is right here. No, don't do that right there. Put it in the comments. On the not the chat, but the actual comments of the video, because after the video is over, I don't see the chat anymore. Does that make sense? So in the comments of the real comments. I hope that makes sense. All right. So let's go down here. 30,000. How much? So Google sucks has $30,000 in Social Security. How much is his taxes? Is 0. All right. So I'm not sure. 0 taxes. And the reason we know for a fact is 0 taxes because there's 2 things we have to do. And look, I know this is kind of be boring because I do this a lot, but it's so important to understand. You got to figure out what your provisional income is, which figures out how much of your Social Security will be subject to income tax. So the first thing is you got to figure out your provisional income, which tells us how much of your Social Security will be subject to tax. And then that amount we take and we add it as part of your AGI. So let's go with this. So we take to figure out your provisional income. We take your Social Security benefit, then we divide by 2. So we have $15,000 here is your provisional income. All right, because you have no other income from any place else. All right, $15,000. Now we know for a fact. Yeah, I appreciate y'all putting it here, but don't put in the chat. Put in the comments. There's like a comment section. Not that this is the chat. The chat won't flow over. You got to put in the comments if you would. But anyway, so because after when this thing's done and I close out, the chat doesn't show up anymore. Does that make sense? So make sure you put in the comments. So what you're doing here, like Mary just put Connecticut. And you don't have to tell me I don't care what your real town is. I'm just saying I'm more interested in the state, frankly. But just, comments not open during live stream. Oh, really? Oh, man. Huh. All right. Oh, I appreciate that, my man Sast. All right, so let's take this. So we got 15,000 is our provisional income. The first, for a single person, the first 25,000 is tax-free. All right, so the first 25,000 of provisional income, you don't pay any tax on. Now the next 25 to 34,000. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. 25 to 34 and over 34,000. So we break it down here. Yeah, right on, Ben. Appreciate that. We break it down to the first 25,000 of your provisional income. None of your Social Security benefit is taxable. The amounts from 25 to 34, 50% of that amount is taxable. Anything above 34,000, 85% of that is taxable. All right. So what happens here? We only have $15,000 of provisional income, which means it all flows Social Security. I mean, it all flows here. All right. So it all flows there. That means there's no tax due whatsoever because his only income is Social Security. And because his only income is Social Security, there's no tax. I can't stress this enough. If your only income is Social Security, you're not paying any income tax. There's just no other way around that. But watch what this happens. Oh, yeah, no, AK, I'll be going to the basement again. Don't you worry about it. My wife wanted to clean that up, though. She goes, this is really getting on my nerves. And so I said, ooh, if the old lady wants you to clean up the basement, you better get on the basement. All right, so anyway, so let's go back into this. So now we got $30,000 of Social Security. Now he wants to convert, we're going to say $25,000 to Roth. All right, so now things change. We got $30,000 of Social Security, $25,000 on Roth. So we take the half of the Social Security, which is $15,000, and we add that to his Roth conversions. And now we have provisional income of $40,000, of $40,000. All right, so $40,000 is his provisional income. So now what we do is we take the first $25,000 tax-free, the next 25 to 34. Well, there's going to be $9,000 in there, which I'll share with you in just a second, times 2. The next 34 to 40,000, we have $6,000, which is taxed at 0.85. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. 0.5, and this is where it gets crazy. All right, so we have 40,000 of provisional income. 0 to 25, there's nothing there. 25 to 34, that's $9,000. 50% of that $9,000 is subject to taxation. So that's $4,500. Now 85% of $6,000 is subject to taxation. If memory serves, I think that's $5,100. But let me just bear with me just a second. Yeah, $5,100. All right, so we got this amount of his Social Security, 45 plus 51, that's going to be $9,600 of his Social Security is subject to taxation. So we have $9,600 of his Social Security. Now we know how much of his Social Security is subject to taxation. Plus, he had his $25,000. Was it $25,000? Yeah, $25,000 Roth IRA, or amount he's taken out from he's converting to a Roth IRA. So now his total income is $34,600. All right, so that's his AGI, $34,600. I'm just going to assume his standard deduction is $13,000 for simplicity. So now his total taxable income is $21,600. $21,600 is his taxable income. So now we know the first $9,000 that roughly is taxed at 10%. The next $11,000 is taxed at 12%. So we'll just give him a 10%. We'll just give him a 10% effective tax bracket. So he's going to pay $2,100 in taxes to convert that $25,000 to a Roth IRA. I hope that makes sense. So it's going to cost him $2,100. So essentially, it's an effective 11% tax bracket or something like that. Now that might not seem like a big deal. It gets worse the more you do, though. And what happens, I'm just telling you, you start running these numbers, you'll start seeing how it's going to freaking drive you insane. You're like, wait a second. For every dollar I convert, because now I'm making more and more of my Social Security subject to taxation, I'm actually having to pay taxes on $1.85 of income. I'm telling you right now, for every dollar you convert at this is for the lower middle class people, by the way. Every dollar you convert will lead to $1.85 of taxable income. And you're saying, how could that possibly be? How could I have more taxable income for only the dollar I converted? Well, because what was previously tax-free Social Security benefit has now been added into the taxable realm because of your Roth conversions, or even because taking RMDs that required minimum distributions. It's nuts. It's a tax torpedo. It's the biggest friggin' scam there is. Everybody knows about it. No one's done a damn thing about it. And so that is the tax that hurts the lower income retirees, because once you hit a threshold where 85% of your Social Security is taxed, no matter what, you're already paying it. It doesn't matter. But the issue comes in when you're basically having, in this case, we had $9,600 of the $30,000 subject to taxation, of the Social Security subject to taxation. But now Every amount you convert above and beyond that is going to make more and more and more of your Social Security subject to taxation. It's crazy, dude. And so anyway, going back to his question, I can't answer that question specifically because I just don't know. But I do know that if you start converting while you're on Social Security, that could lead you to pay more and more taxes for sure, which is why I tell people to do Social Security after you made the conversions, if at all possible, for sure. All right. All right, let's see what Rob says. I'm a good man. Don't care what Tom Major says. Well, you know Tom Major, Fidelity guy. You can't trust these Fidelity guys. All right, so Jody says, thank you, Josh. I'll be retiring very soon. You give me the confidence to try investing my 401k by myself. Right on, Jody. You're freaking kick ass at take names, man. Lots of very good information. Watching a lot of your oh yeah, epic pitching battle. Scherzer for Cole. Yeah, man. Green Bay versus the Chiefs are on tonight. That's a pretty good game too. Ooh, Scherzer's out for game 5. Been watching, D. Whitlock says, been watching your videos for the past year. Very helpful in me making my decision on taking a severance package, debt-free by year end. Then he says, who dat? In fact, the friggin' Patriots had their blue on blue today. Didn't LSU have their purple on purple? Yes, that was okay, but blue on blue, come on. And just watching the Saints with black on black, I was like, just come on, man. Let's just go back to a dark color shirt with a white pants or a dark color shirt with a lighter color pants. It's fine. But, the same color on both sides. They never did that until, like, I guess the early 2000s, the late 90s. The only team I think looks good doing that is probably Clemson, where they go orange on orange. Yeah, no, I still like the orange with white. I like white pants. I like the old Tampa Bay Bucks. Orange shirt, the creamsicles. The white pants. That was freaking stout. The old Patriots, the red shirts with white pants. That's the way it should be, man. Premier League football. Oh, that's soccer, right? Football. Yeah. Talk about a boring game. Look, I get it. Soccer. Sometimes I get in soccer. I'm not gonna lie, but man, I was one of my daughter's game the other day. It was a 0-0, and then some freaking penalty kick with like 2 minutes left, and it was just a crappy old call. I said, the only sport in the history of mankind where a ref can say we're gonna call a penalty kick, and it's not like hockey, a penalty shot where the goalie's freaking 90% of the size of the goal. In soccer, there's no way you're going to stop that penalty shot. And that girl scores a goal, game over. So that's freaking bullcrap, man. Just because some ref called a cheap-ass goal, a cheap-ass foul, whatever it's called. Yikes, Max is out. Not good. Yeah, Mary says, all right, Mary, tell us about that. So getting all the expenses knocked out does take some time, says Mary. Elaborate on that if you would. Why? I'm not challenging Mary. I know Mary. I consider Mary a friend of mine. But what was the reasoning for that? If you don't mind sharing, or maybe a better word would be a better way to say, what can people be doing for it not to take so much time? If that makes sense. Look, I haven't done it myself. I'm telling you right now because I haven't had to retire, so I'm ignorant about why that would take so much time. I just don't know. But I keep my bills pretty tight. But I don't know my discretionary expenses. I don't. And then you factor in the crumb crunchers, and then you factor in old P Monkey here, Pablo. We don't spend much on him, but anyway, you don't know how much it's going to cost. So anyway, but when those are gone, I would think it'd be easier, but I don't know. How would you enter Social Security benefit amount and right capital if you were less than 62 years old? Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not familiar with the disability side of things. I just don't know. You'd have to just mess around with it. Maybe create a second box for under income. Just create a box that says other and just put that Social Security disability in there. Ben says 36K a year being debt free leaves you plenty of money for traveling and retirement. I'm telling you, man, I could not agree more. That's why I was like, dude, $3,000 a month makes you a trailer park guy. It's like, I don't get that at all. So CJ Poley says that's the same thing I asked me. I don't have any experience with Social Security disability. I think it should be close to the same for planning. I'd imagine. I would. Just enter a second box. Like I said, you go to an income, and they'll say, so you're under profile, and it says income. and you open up a new, just a new income source, and there's a drop down once you do it. It says, what is this? Is this for pension? I think it even says annuity, a bunch of other things, distribution. Then you say other, and you just type in Social Security, disability. And I mean, it's literally no different than entering, part-time income or anything like that. So I don't think it's specific to Social Security, disability. It's just you just enter it as another source of income. Vic says water and electric did not go down for us when we were at work 8 hours a day. We didn't use. Yeah, that makes sense, man. Yeah. So when at home, you got the lights turned on more, your heat turned on more. Yeah, I get that. CJ says we make wine out of most of the fruit. All right. BB says, thanks for your comments on anti-Semitism and racism. We are all in this together. Hated isn't going to help America be the godly nation it was meant to be. Yeah, right on, BB. Right on. And BB said that Jesus walked on this earth, and he said from a Jewish man. So BB, who acknowledges of Jesus's, at least of Jesus' life, maybe not his divinity, but certainly his life. So it's all good. Look, I don't care if people believe what they want to believe. I just happen to believe that Jesus did rise from the dead, but no one can prove this stuff, and no one can prove Richard Dawkins. It's beyond proof. And I don't even buy this Occam's razor thing. What is it? Occam's razor? No, what's the thing where I forgot what it was, where the guy says, man, if I'm wrong, I want to be wrong on defaulting on God. It's not Occam's razor. It's what is the one he says? If I'm wrong, I want to be wrong, believing in God in case I'm right, or whatever it was. I always found that was silly too, because whatever that, I'm talking about, the guy I'm drawing a blank what it's called. Okay, but what if you believe in the wrong God? I mean, instead of saying that's silly. I've never understood, if I'm going to be wrong, I want to be wrong where I can go to heaven. Oh, what if Pablo's God and you believe in a Christian God? I mean, that's dumb. I just, I think the best thing about being a lover of the Lord is that you don't worry about it. You say, God loves me. I love him. I know I need to be forgiven, and God gladly does it as long as I get on my knees every day and ask. And I sure as hell know I'm going to sin against him again for sure, as the fallen man I am. But one thing I will say real quick, did I say this here? I was sitting in the airport the other day, and I saw when I was coming back from Seattle, someone had left a little like a business card thing that says, you deserve to go to hell, or something like that. I said, that's not the good way to get people to see, to be faithful, by badgering them. And I've never been a fan of that. I've always felt you attract more flies with honey than with vinegar. And by saying, you deserve to go to hell. But I have the answer. For someone like me, who I don't trust authority in any way, shape, or form. I don't want someone saying I deserve to hell, because other than my faith and my understanding of what Jesus has done, I wouldn't believe I did. And so to say you deserve to go to hell, that's not going to make me see it your way. That's for sure. I would ask Christians to follow the Mormon model. Smile and be happy. That's the way you do it, man. You smile and be happy. You're going to attract people, because people want to be happy. They don't want to be angry. So when they see you smiling and happy, they're going to say, what does that guy have that I don't? Well, just my 2 cents. All right. Ed in San Francisco says, also in Indiana. Oh, okay. Should you ever annuitize when you can take 4% and have capital appreciation? Oh, that's a trick question, brother. Can you take 4% guaranteed with capital appreciation? Well, how does that happen? Look, I'm a fan of income annuities without question. But I'm also a fan of the capital markets. So there's a little bit of a seesaw there. But I don't think you can have 4% and appreciation as assuredly as you can annuitization. Not at all. You can have one or the other. Annuitization, essentially at 5.5% without appreciation, or you can have hope 4% and appreciation, but you're not going to have 4% and guaranteed with dividend yield if that's what you're talking about, and appreciation. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have it, but it's certainly not the same in terms of assurance as an annuity. So I don't know what you're referring to, 4% and capital appreciation. That seems That seems like a bridge pretty far to me, because nothing out there is paying 4% with a guaranteed appreciation and a guaranteed 4%. Nothing. I guess there might be some guy, I got this fixed index annuity, whatever. Hey, Rebecca Thompson, another who dat. Jeez Louise, man, these Saints fans everywhere. What is going on? My friend and I went to the Saints Falcons game a couple years back. Saints fans, the worst in a good way. I love them because they're passionate about their Saints, man. But man, I should have brought a paper bag and cut out the eyes and said "ain'ts," because they would not have liked me kindly. They would not have been kind to me if I should have done that. Would have been fun. Brother has Columbia Journalism MBA, 50K plus 30K New York living expenses. Only take 50 into each class. Columbia Journalism MBA. Oosh. All right, so bend points. Yeah, so I did a video on this. I learned a lot from some of the articles y'all sent. I forgot who sent this to me. It was Noelle, actually. And she had sent a article, and if I can find it here, that talked about bend points. So what happened is in 1977, Social Security they introduced the average wage index. And in 1979, they took the average wage index from 1977 and they used that to set the standard forevermore. If that makes sense. And I forgot what it was, but I think it was like $7,700 or something like that. And then they came up with the first bend point in 1979 of $180 and the second bend point of $1,080. And ever since then, they've taken the average wage index from the future and they divide it into the first average wage index. So like now it's like, I don't know, $52,000 divided into the first average wage index of $7,700. And they take that number, let's say it's 5.2, and they divide that, or they times 180, because that's the first ever bend point, the first bend point by that 5.2. And that will give you your next bend point. So just use that for example. We're going to say 180 times 5.2, that gives us look, 936. I'm almost spot on. That gives us a bend point of today of $936. In 2020 is actually be $960. But anyway, that's how it works. It's crazy. And so then they say, okay, that's what we get to establish the first bend point. Now we're going to do the same for the second bend point. And that we're going to take 5.2 and times by 1,080, because that was the first ever bend point. And that gives us 180 times 5.2. That gives us $5,600 or whatever it is. And that's how it's done. No clue that was how it worked. That's very, very interesting. So essentially what that means is we know for a fact in 2020, anyone who receives Social Security benefits, the first $960 of their average index monthly earnings, they're going to receive 90% of that. All right. So if it doesn't matter who you are, Donald Trump or Warren Buffett, all the way down to the freaking lowly street sweeper. And if you're a street sweeper, I don't mean you're lowly. I'm just saying a guy who's not making much money, theoretically. Anyway, so that guy is going to get the first $960 of AIME. They're going to get 90% of that as a benefit, literally as money in their pocket. Now, the next amount from 960 to, again, we'll just say $5,500. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is for 2020, but they're going to get 32% of that amount. All right. So if you got $4,000 total as your average index monthly earnings, well, you take your 4,000, you subtract 960, you times that 960 by 0.9, and that gives you whatever it is. And then you take the 4,000, again, minus 960, and that amount you times by 0.32, and that gives you whatever. You times those, you add those two numbers up, and that's your PIA, your primary insurance amount, which is the amount at your full retirement age. Lots of acronyms, lots of different moving parts in here, but when you do this enough, it actually begins to make a lot of sense. And that's why I encourage people to really, that's why I say, people say all the time, like, because I showed them in this book right here, you can retire on Social Security. I told them how to figure all this out. And people say, why do I need to figure that out? Well, you don't. But I think you should, because who's more in charge of your retirement than you? And so just to say, I'm not going to figure that out, it's not that hard. You just got to know how it works. And formulaically, or if that's the right word, is easy once you know how it works. And so anyway, that's how it works, Curtis. That's the bend points. And the bend points change each year based on the change in the average wage index. So the average wage index is just basically the inflation, essentially, if that makes sense, the cost of living adjustments. Brian Dishes from Pittsburgh. Right on. You sell these shirts right here, Heritage Wealth Planning. I thought about it. I don't know. They got this thing called Teespring. I bought one, which I liked, but maybe. I don't know. I'll let you all decide. I've always, when I see all these guys, who's my man Kevin there, the young real estate guy. He's got like a "Don't Sue Me, Bro" shirt. I don't know. That always seems kind of cheesy to me. Hey, buddy, hold on a second. Come here. Hold on a second. Let me close this window. Oh yeah. By the way, you guys want to see something funny? We got Pablo's Halloween costume. It's a taco. He's a taco. Look at that. Tell me that's not the funniest thing ever. Hey, he's a taco. Yeah, actually, I was playing basketball with my boy today, Liam, and it was getting kind of dark out, and Pablo ran off, but we had this thing on, so I could see him, because if he didn't have this thing on, and he was dark as night, I would not have been able to see him, and he would have. He doesn't run off, but he runs. He likes to chase other dogs that could literally eat him alive, but for some reason he thinks that he's so cute that they'll deal with him anyway. Now you got it. Live. I love the live sessions. I love it. Yeah, I think that's got to be right. Social Security won't know future Ben points, so it must be when you take Social. And some thorough thought on that, I think that's 100% correct. Thanks for the live session. I love them. Own investments too, Joe. Own investments too. Yeah, I'm not sure what Mary's saying about own investments. Love thinking about streams of income. Can't you subscribe to my vlog? His name Heaven Bettino. Okay. All right, what is going on with old Heaven Bettino? Let's get this person out of here. Kill me. How to user on this. All right. All right. All right. 2 to 3 years for retirement at me, says Peter. At 66 or 67, it's so tough to keep working past 60. Man, that's the problem I was having with my on my course I'm working on with Susie Single. I was like, because the premise is she comes in my office and she's 62 and she just wants to cut out. You know what I'm saying? And we just can't make it happen. I wish we could, but we can't. And obviously the expenses are the thing. And if we can't get the expenses down, and I'm assuming the expenses that quote unquote this is just a sample, is legit. And if we can't get those down, there's no way she can keep going on. And there's no way she can't keep going on, which sucks because, once you hit 60, you're probably at that stage to say, I'm tired of corporate politics. I'm tired of my crappy old boss or whatever. I just want to do something else. Going back to somebody else with other streams of income. Folks, I'm telling you right now, I was working with this doctor around here locally, he and his wife. Real nice people, big libs. I think they finally got sick of my not being a lib. But he was wanting to write a book, and I just said, man, you just got to do it. And because if you do it once and you recognize that it's not easy, but it's easier than you might think, and then you might be inclined to do another, and then another, and then. And it's not the one book that's going to make any money. Actually, it's not. It's going to be the second, third, not even a second or a third. It's going to be. But as you start getting more and more books out there, you'll make a little bit of money. And look, I don't know how much I make. I mean, I make on my book $600 or $700 a month. The last 2 months, I made $1,000. But I just published a brand new book. $1,000 a month, man, on books. It's one per. If someone buys one of the books and they like it, they might buy another one, and that's good. You want that. But it takes time. It takes time for that. So it's like if you have this book idea, when I was studying for the CFP, I would get up. I'm sure I shared this with you guys, like at 5 o'clock every morning before the kids got up and had to change their butts. And I'd study from 5 to 6:30. And then I'd get them up, change their butts, and get ready for work, and get them ready for school. And it's the same kind. It was like a job, man. And I did an hour and a half every day. And same kind of thing. If you're going to do something else in terms of trying to get out of your crappy old job, you just got to find the time to do something. And that means if you got to make the time, you got to make the time. And anyway, the guy's never going to write a book. Because everyone says they're going to write a book, but they don't, because it's easy to get distracted. And there's something called time blocks. And I think that's critically important, is a time block. What are you going to do during this time every single day. And as a guy I talk to about all the time, his daughter now runs this company, but Aaron Helmsley, I can't remember, but Aaron Helmsley, he has a sales success. I can't remember what it was called, but it's Aaron Helmsley or Hemsley Sales Success or something like that. But he was a psychologist, or is. I don't think he's around anymore. But just what happens is you got to find the times of the day you're most productive. And those are the times you got to devote to the things you need to get done for yourself mostly. So for me, it's in the morning. I'm mostly productive in the morning. That's why I like to read, because I like to think. I like to think about what I'm doing. I don't answer emails in the morning, just FYI. I used to do that, but that was using my most productive time on a menial task. I just don't do that. I'm only trying to answer emails once or twice a day anymore. And usually it's in the evening when I'm tired. I've always been a morning guy. But you got to find the times of the day you're most productive and dedicate yourself to doing what is you need to get done. Whatever it is, working out, writing your book, thinking, I don't care. Do that and focus like a crazy man during that time. I tell you, it's Aaron Hemsley, his stuff, Sales Success. I forgot what it's called, but his daughter, Darcy Hemsley Brown, runs it now, and she's fantastic. I tried to get her interviewed about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and it just kind of fell through, and maybe one of these days I'll get her back on. But, oh, man, psychological stuff on overcoming obstacles was just amazing for me, and I love it. So anyway, long story short, you're saying to yourself, look, I can do this for a couple more years, that's fine, but I can't do this for 10 more years. Well, what are we going to do to replace not all of that income, but some of that income, say 5 years out? Well, start today. And then, I say, look, I've always been interested. I've never played drums. But I think I probably could be a good drummer because I'm kind of hyper. I always got a beat in my head. But I always say, man, if I would have started 5 years ago, I'd be pretty good by now. And I'm like, well, I'm 49. Why not start now? And I'm just like, I don't want to, because not anything I really want to do. But I've always said the same thing about speaking in foreign language. I mean, all kinds of stuff. But if you don't do it, you'll never get good at it. So just start it today. And but it's got to be something you really want to do. All right. Keep up supplying good info. You got it, Brian. Steve ordered my book, from Randy Alcorn. Treasure Principle, one of the best books you'll ever read, folks. The Treasure Principle by Randy Alcorn. Be advised, Randy Alcorn is an unabashed pro-life guy. He's an activist on the pro-life side. And so if that's not your cup of tea, don't buy his book. But for me, it was life-changing. You're storing up in heaven. You're a steward of God's money, man. It's not yours, it's his. What does God want you to do with his money? And that's where I go to the parable of the talents. Do you want to hide it under a bushel, or invest it to do good work for him because you trust him? Hide it under a bushel? No. I thought the bend points that are used are the ones that they stop indexing. No, so that's so average wage index, Rick, is what they use up until you're age 60, and then they use cost of living adjustments, just basic COLAs. So the bend points are nothing to do with that. Comments not open during live stream. Right on. Matt, if I retire early, should I take ETF or Roth first? Well, my presumption is the ETF. Does the chat show up later? Huh. All right. Well, if the chat shows up later, then definitely put your city and state in there. If you haven't yet, I don't know. Okay. But anyway, if it doesn't, either way, put it in the comments and in the chat. That's fine. You can come back and put in the comments later if it was. Whatever. I'm not going to solicit. I don't know who you are. It's good for the algorithm, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to get more people out to read my man Howard Hayden stuff, not be so fearful of climate change, and it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And it costs me $45 a year for his 12-month subscription to the Energy Advocate. Money well spent. So the best reading material I look forward to every month. I get in a hard copy, not an email. I get the hard copy of his newsletter, and I read it. Except for this little guy right here. Guess what old Pablo did? I had a copy laying on the ground over there, and guess who decided to give us a yellow color? You want to take a guess? Actually, let's get this thing up. Well, Pablo said, let me make this a little bit of a different color for you, Daddy. And he happened to proceed to take a leak on it. I said, great. Thanks, Pops. So my new issue of the Energy Advocate is it's a different scent to it. Let's put it that way. Oh, Pablo. All right. So Matt says, if I retire early, should I take my Roth or my, sounds like an ETF is his taxable account. You want to take your Roth last. Absolutely. Take your Roth last. Isis says, hi, Josh and Pablo from Newport Richey, Florida. Pablo's got a fan base. Don't have to go to the base on A4. Yeah, right on, Tom. Yeah, save the Roth for later. Oops. In right capital under retirement analysis income, is there a way to see Roth conversions broken out from savings withdrawals? Is there a way to see Roth conversions broken out from savings withdrawals? Right capital under income. So if you go under right capital, if you go under cash flows, so right capital is under retirement. That's what it is, retirement, then cash flows. And then you look and there'll be a drop-down box, retirement cash flows, and there's going to be a drop-down box, retirement, that's what it is, retirement cash flows accounts, retirement cash flows accounts. And under accounts, there'll be a drop-down box. It'll say withdrawals from accounts, RMDs. It'll say additions to accounts, and that will show you the Roth conversions broken out from savings withdrawals right there. Retirement, what did I say? Retirement, I'm drawing a blank what it was. Retirement is under cash flows, retirement cash flows accounts. That's what it was. Did I miss anything? Is there a rule of, okay, here we go. I missed some stuff. All right. Well, I love the taco outfit. Yeah, right on, man. Ooh, so I missed a bunch of stuff. Ed Jones, make sure okay. Ooh, missed a lot of stuff. How did I get way down here? All right, 1 second. All right, sweet. I missed a bunch. Spokane, Washington. Repeating myself every other sentence, probably. Okay. Was at a dinner last night where the chief of staff of the U.S. Army, James McConnell, gave a speech. While he was speaking, he had ordered our, oh man, that's crazy. While he was speaking, he'd made the order to take out Baghdadi. That's freaking, man, you hear the media getting up in arms from Trump. Well, just the freaking media. I don't think Trump should have been as, whatever he was saying. He was like, Baghdadi was a wimp. He's a, coward. He was barking like a dog and crying. That was awesome. And me was like, you're just going to create more. I said, can you imagine just how just weak-spined the deep state is? I mean, Trump takes out this evil monstrosity of a sinister being. Not Trump. It wasn't him. It wasn't Obama. I get that. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, Obama, to his credit, freaking took him out. Good. But they took these guys out. And what we're supposed to be like, be respectful. Remember, didn't they do that for Osama? They were like respectful when they did whatever the hell they did with his body. Like, screw that, man. Friggin' these people, the only thing they listen to is force. Oh, crazy. Anyway, I just find it funny, too. Trump gets out of Syria, and all these people who previously were anti-war are all mad for Trump getting out of Syria. It's like, it's good enough, these friggin' wars. I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Hey, just read up on World War I and realize how just evil war is. Oh, nuts. Yeah, I saw the thing in the Washington Post, friggin' scumbags. Oh, man. All right, so a dog at this point. I've been watching. Can you give me your thoughts on quantitative easing in crypto? Yeah, I don't follow crypto much. Quantitative easing, it's just whatever. I mean, my thoughts won't mean anything. I frankly, at the end of the day, I don't care. They do whatever the hell they want to do. Pay down your debt, a dog and his boy. If you pay down your debt, you don't have to worry about this crap. Crypto, look, man. There's some guy I like a lot who's big into crypto. I forgot what his name was off the top of my head. Anyway, I can't remember, but I follow him and I like him quite a bit. A legit guy. I look, at the end of the day, everyone, I don't know why everyone thinks the dollar is doomed. It doesn't make sense to me. But be it as it is, I got no problem people buying some, whatever the cryptocurrency is of the moment, be it Bitcoin or whatever. Is Bitcoin even considered a crypto? For some reason, I think it's not, right? It's the other ones, Ethereum or something. I just don't follow it. The one thing I follow is pay down your debt. Pay down your debt, and everything else will follow. Will follow along. Absolutely. Washington Post, man. Washington Post says about Baghdadi, who's a religious scholar. Jeez, man. Does my website outline what's covered in the cost of my personal financial review? I got a video on there. Yep. So if you go under fees, there's a bunch of videos that actually talk about it in pretty depth detail, I hope. Pascal's wager. That's what it was, David. Pascal's wager. Yeah, that's right. The Pascal's wager said he's going to believe in God. It's basically a risk reward thing. He's like, look, if I don't believe in God and there is a God, then I'll be banished to hell for all eternity. If I believe in God and there's not a God, then I just go and we're all dead anyways. No big deal. So I'm going to risk. The risk reward is I should believe in God. And that inherently that makes sense. And I think a lot of Christians will use that as a way to validate the Christian faith. But then I simply say, well, what if your God is wrong? What if it's Allah? What if it's whatever it is? What if it's, again, this calculator? I mean, what is, the Pascal wager? This is where apologetics and really really needs to be taught to Christians, because I think a lot of Christians don't even know what their beliefs are. And just learning some apologetics to understand. This is why reading Richard Dawkins and, stupid Stephen Hawking's and stuff is important, listening to these guys on YouTube, so you can hear the other side. It's important. This is why the liberals are so upset, because they have never heard a different point of view in their whole lives, ever. They haven't had to. From the beginning of kindergarten, for the media, through sports, for music, through education, high school, education, college, they've never had to hear a different point of view. And so when they hear it, I'm telling you, this is the exact same way with Christians back in the 70s and 80s. While a lot of people fell from the faith, because when people said, well, how do you explain this? How do you explain that? And they said, oh, no, you shouldn't question that. And people said, but I'm just wondering, how do you explain this? And when you don't have an answer for that, people say, you sound like a bumbling fool. That you obviously don't know what you're talking about. So I'm going to go look for myself. And then they go into the arms of atheists who have pleasant sounding perspectives. And next thing you know, they never come back. It's sad. And that's what's happening to liberals all the time, because they never had to hear a different point of view, ever. They ever haven't had to. In fact, there's a guy who posted on my thing, I posted something about, what did socialists do before candles? Oh, what did socialists use before candles? What did socialists use before candles? Well, they used electricity. Get it? Because socialism always ruins everything. And this guy, Bob, he posts like 3 or 4 comments. And I just it's cracked me up, because there's like one guy, just posting all this crap. Look, I could care less, but I laugh because, dude, literally all you do is you post comments all day long of stuff that you disagree with. And it's just funny to me, because it's like, if that's your whole life is to post comments with people you disagree with, that's sad to me. But then on top of that, I have a sneaky suspicion a lot of guys have yet to hear a different point of view. They haven't. And it's always on the left, because the right, if you're on the right or libertarian, you're always living in a different point of view. You hear it all the time. You can't help it. Just turn on the friggin' TV, different point of view. It doesn't matter. Watch a sports game. And so because of that, we have a way to see both sides of it. And I think it's important to see both sides, and being a Christian and learning just basic apologist strategies. I mean, apologist isn't apologizing for the faith, it's defending it. And like a guy like Michael Ramsden, Ravi Zacharias, RZIM, it was right here in Atlanta, the Ravi Zacharias International Ministries, wonderful place. Randy Alcorn, the treasurer principal, all kinds of wonderful apologists who are just doing great work on apologetics. It's fantastic. And then you can even go to like my man, hold on a sec. Like this guy, Stephen Meyer, Darwin's Doubt. And the Darwin stuff is fallen. It's going to die to death here shortly, for sure. So Stephen Meyer from the Discovery Institute, Darwin's Doubt. You got lots of wonderful people. This is a tough book to read. This is tough. a hard book to read. But then you can go to other books that, hey, what you doing over there, Bubs? But if you're going to be a man of faith or a woman of faith, I think it's good for you to know what your faith is and know what the arguments are against it, which is why for me, it just comes down to those three things. Did Jesus live? Did Jesus die? Did he rise again from the dead? Nothing else matters. You got to keep it simple. In retirement planning, you're a Christian walk, and whatever else you're doing, keep it simple, stupid. The more simple you can make it, the more easier it is to explain. The more breath you can take and relax. All right, let's see. Buddy, what are you doing over there? Uh-oh. I'm not sure what my man's up to over there, but he's up to something. Come here, hold on just a second. Oh, right, there we go. Hey, yeah, that's right. All right, hey, Josh, been tracking expenses and Quicken since 1991. Wow. Woo, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm not that motivated, man. That's funny. Here we go. Just what I was talking about. Jack Reed says, I'm giving this a 0 out of 10. He says something about Jesus. Like, what? You think Jack would ever go on a Muslim thing and say that about Muhammad or Allah? No. Or Muhammad? No. It's easy to bash Christians. But Jack is not happy with Christianity. He's out here about retirement. Trust me, man. I'm sure Jack is fun at parties. Look, you got to laugh at these fools. I love laughing at fools because laughter, even Saul Alinsky says, you mock people. That's the best way. You mock them. Can you give your opinion on quantity? Okay, we already talked about that. So if you had a monthly dividend paying REIT and a Roth and you are retired, then is that monthly tax-free income? Yeah, if it comes out of a Roth, brother, it's tax-free. Are Edward Jones fees worth it, or should I look elsewhere? Look, I don't have any qualm with Edward Jones. The issue I have is I got friends who have worked there and who continue to. I don't think they're financial planners. I think they're good at positioning what I hate to sound like this. I think they're good at positioning what Edward Jones wants them to position. Let's just put it that way. And they don't have the ability for independent thought. They just don't. And I don't blame Ed Jones because they're a big firm. They can't have a bunch of people just shooting from the hip. They can't. They've got to have it. It's got to be policed. And it's got to be uniform. And that's the same thing with Vanguard. It's the same thing when I was at USA. It's the same thing with Fidelity. There can't be independent thought there. So it's all going to be cookie cutter. Now, at the end of the day, buying A shares of American funds at Ed Jones, man, I would do that freaking 75 times out of 100 because they're wonderful mutual funds. You pay the commission up front. You don't have to pay it again. There's a 25 basis point, what's called 1/4% 12B1 fee, which is a fraud, but that's how the broker still retains some kind of income in which to service your account. It's supposed to be to reduce fees in the future, but it never is. But anyway, so I don't have any problem with Ed Jones. I like American funds. Ed Jones, it used to be, I imagine they still are, the biggest seller of American funds. I'd much rather have you pay an Ed Jones 2.5% upfront commission, Edward Jones, than freaking paying some guy 1% a year to manage your money who you never hear from again. Absolutely. In fact, Ed Jones would be much, much cheaper in the long run. And I've done a video on that before. I'll be happy to do another one. I mean, it's easy to quantify that. You're paying 2.5 or 3.5% on, let's say, $400,000, and then you're paying 25 basis points a year thereafter. You're paying 1% a year on $400,000, and you're paying 1% a year on the account, regardless of what happens. It's not going to take long for the Ed Jones American funds. Absolutely dwarfs the fee-based account for sure. Okay. Will my stay-at-home wife be eligible for some Social Security if she never worked outside the home? Absolutely, just me. In fact, it's funny. People get so mad by this. I did a video on my way to PT, which I deleted because I was kind of angry. Yeah, I shouldn't do videos in the morning because I'm at my peak fired upness, if that makes sense. But I had a number of people comment on one of my Social Security videos about stay-at-home moms receiving half of the benefit, what's called a spousal benefit. They don't contribute to society. It's their choice. Why should we have to pay for their Social Security? Blah, blah, blah. And yet, the silliness of that is just, it's beyond words. And I imagine it's like my man Jack up here. He's like, why should they? I want the money. They shouldn't get it. It's not, man, the idea that a stay-at-home mom who's raising children to be strong proponents and members of society who are not on the dole, the idea they don't contribute to society is silly. And they can kiss my butt if they think that way. I just don't care. It's just dumb. But it's, it's the nature of some Americans. They want everything handed to them on a silver platter. They don't want to work. They feel, but they didn't contribute. They made a choice. Let's put it this way. Come over to my house, all right, and tell my wife that the time she spent staying at home raising my 4 kids didn't contribute to society. And then tell her from her background that she has done nothing to contribute to society, given where she came up from, and tell me she doesn't deserve half of my benefit. Yeah, let's see how quick you don't go out that door, because you don't know anything about nobody. You don't know anything about what other people went through. You don't know nothing. I'm going to pick on my man Jack, who doesn't like Jesus. He says, because this ticks me off something wicked. All right, these same people who say women, and mostly women, who don't contribute, they shouldn't get a benefit. The same people, I guarantee, they either come from wealth or they're freaking wanting a handout. One of those two things. They want more. They say, I should have more. I deserve more. Yeah, they can. I tell you that I got no. Well, let's go back. I said I don't like anti-Semitism. I don't like racism, and I hate bullies on stay-at-home moms. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. My wife. The idea of my wife is some June Cleaver, which I like the Beaver, by the way. The Beaver was a freaking awesome show. Hey, Beav, man, how could you not like the Beav? That was a great show. The Beav, dude. Oh my God. The Beav was classic. Love the Beav. But the idea that even June Cleaver wasn't contributing to a functioning society. Now think about it. It's funny too, because we know for a fact, you got a guy like Ben Carson, his brother. All right, his mom raised them in Detroit and somehow pulled them to get out of the friggin' hoodlums, the drugs and all that. And they become incredibly great, astounding, successful members of society. Obama was raised by a single mom. And Obama and Michelle and Ben Carson, I'm not sure who his wife is, Mrs. Carson, are wonderful examples of the benefits of a husband and a wife in a family. This is not deniable. This is not deniable. And this is why I don't have any problem with gays getting married. I used to, and I don't anymore, because the facts are I do believe and a family relationship is best for the society. And a family is 2 individuals, husband and wife, and 2 gay. I literally don't care. But 2 loving parents who can freaking discipline and yet dote on their children is good for functioning society, without question. And if that means one has to sacrifice her career, in my wife's case, she did. She was making twice what I was. She was a bond analyst, was on a conference call with Donald J. Trump when he was trying to hawk some of their bonds to her mutual fund. She was making a hell of a lot more than I was making when I was working at Charles Schwab. When we had Maddie, she gave it all up. I didn't ask her to. I did not ask her to. I said, I think we all agreed to it when we had children, that we'd like for someone to stay home. And she knew that if I stayed home, my kids would die within a day. So she said, I'll take one for the team. Anyway, the idea that she hasn't contributed to a society, it should not get part of my Social Security benefits. Nah, nuts to that. And then secondly, if I may too, one of the things that drives me crazy is that we know for a fact there's a destruction. Daniel Patrick Moynihan used to talk about this and defining deviancy down. Talk about the welfare bills of the 60s, the mid 60s. He said this is going to hurt society in the long run. And he was right. He was a big lib from New York. Anyway, what happened was the breakup of the family, without question. The breakup of the family, more and more people in incarceration, which is why I hate freaking prohibition, by the way. But more and more people are incarcerated. More and more people are raised by single parents, single moms, generally speaking. The black family is 75%. That's what it is of single moms raising children. And whites are growing each and every year. And Charles Murray did a book, the basic destruction of the American middle class, or the destruction of the American family, or the white American family is what it was. The writing on the wall. It was. I don't think so anymore. I think we're starting to change that finally. I think the younger generation is starting to be a little bit more conservative, which is good. But anyway, so going back to you, Justine, your wife absolutely gets your spousal benefit, her spousal benefit, which is half of your PIA. and she'll get your survivor benefit, which means at your death, she'll get whatever you were getting. So keep that in the back of your mind. And if you don't use that or use that in your planning, you're making a mistake, because absolutely she does. I'm going to take the plunge and retire in February. Was planning on closer to 59, but seems like it worked out fine. Still a little nervous, though. Hard to know for sure, which bothers me. Yeah, we never know for sure, Jill. And that's the thing. You just don't know. I mean, you could fall off a bridge tomorrow and break your neck and not be able to move again. You just don't know. Everything's a risk. You're just never going to get that, like Warren Buffett says, no one rings a bell at the bottom of the market. And no one rings the bell, say you're good to go. Just if you have your expenses under control, I'm a broken record here, and your expenses can be pretty doggone close to being met by guaranteed income, you're pretty good. I'm very happy with my Ed Jones advisor, but only paying the 12B fees around 0.3%. Yeah, and I 100% right, Fear the Turtle. I got no qualm with Ed Jones at all. Ricky Pro. Who dat? This is what, 3 times we've heard that today? Jeez Louise, who dat, Saints? He's asked us. Okay, gotcha. Who said dog? Right on. Yeah, if retiring early, says Fear the Turtle, building up an HSA is very beneficial. Right on. I could not agree more. Yeah, Mike M. Aggressive growth accounts on the Roth, bonds my 401k. Love it. Yep, could not agree more. All right, my man AK says he'll throw down for a Heritage T or 3. I'll put him out there then. I don't want to be freaking Mike. I don't want to be what's the word I'm looking for? Like money. I could get money all the time. I don't want to be that guy. But if people want them, hell up with these. This is a dry fit. I've had these for over 1.5 years. I think they still look good, except for me. You can see right there. You might not be able to see that. Oh wait, it's down here. Yeah, yeah, you can't really see that, but I'm not good at keeping food off my shirts or pen ink off my shirts. I'm not sure if I answered this already. Can you provide some detail on what you provide in your financial review? It's just on the website. Go to heritagewealthplanning.com/fees, and there's a number of videos that you can see right there. Trumpo scanning the keyboard, trying to type like Stephen Hawking's. About a year ago, a pit bull mix killed my dog as a Chiweenie and looked very much like your dad. Peter, my dog is a Chiweenie indeed. Mike C says he retired 2 years ago. He's talking to JD Thompson at 58. His wife was 55, and he hasn't regretted for a second. That's awesome. That's awesome. Asset allocation 5 years before retirement. I think you got to build up enough cash. That's the one thing I suggest to people is, the last 2 years, I wouldn't even put any money into the market. I mean, I'd keep your money that's in the market, but I'd be plugging into cash, without question. Cash is king, forever will be. The only way you can spend money is with good, cold, hard cash. You know what I'm saying? There's no other way around that. And you're going to need to spend money right out the gate. The issue is you don't know how much you're going to need to spend. So you definitely want to have that cash to just fall back on. No one ever went to bed at night and had a hard time sleeping because they had too much cash. I'm just telling you right now, that never happens. Now, they might say I need to invest there. They might say FOMO, fear of missing out. But no one ever sat there and said, I can't sleep. I got too much money in FDIC insured CDs. It never happened like that. But it does happen on the other hand. So right before 2 years before retirement, I'd be getting that cash bucket built up, man. Nothing wrong with having 3 to 5 years of cash. So if you spend $50,000 a year and you want $150,000 as a minimum in a cash account, man, I got no qualm with that for sure. Now that's a lot of money. I mean, you might not have, a portfolio of only $300,000. That might be too much cash, but I don't know. I don't know that to be true. The first 2 years, you have no idea what retirement is. You've never retired. You have no idea what you spend. You have no idea what you're going to spend. You just don't know. So freaking just relax a little bit and have this cash bucket on the side. That way, if the market crumbles like 2007 and 8, you're not, putting your head down the toilet and flushing. We don't need that. Yeah, Pablo, he's a nugget. He is cute, that's for sure. Especially when he wakes me up 3 times a night to Let me know he's got to go potty. He jumps up on the side. He goes like this, and he pats the bed. And he would, and I don't sleep very deep, so I'm like, oh. I look over at him. So go back to Pablo's bed. Go to Pablo. Find your got your llama. Get your llama back to Pablo's bed. And he pats me like this. He puts the mouth like this. Like he's gonna start growling at me. I'm like, all right, let's go outside. So Vic says, I'm still confused on this 5-year rule in Roth conversions. I've had my Roth account for over 10 years, but did a conversion in 2018. I'm over 59 and a half. Those converted funds are stuck for 5 years. No, you can get the tax. So once you're over 59 and a half, you got to think about a Roth conversion, the 5-year rule, just like a traditional. You have access to the money on it. You just got to pay tax, if that makes sense. All right. I mean, it's no different than a traditional IRA. Once you're over 59 and a half, you pull distribution out, you got to pay income tax on it. The same thing with a Roth. I mean, if you haven't had it open for 5 years, you pull the money out, you don't have to pay a penalty, but you're going to have to pay tax on it for sure. Once it's been open for 5 years, then you have no taxes on it whatsoever. Does that make sense? So once you do the Roth conversion, the amount you converted, you pay tax on. That's done. All right. Now we're just talking about the gains. The gains will be tax-free once it's been open for once you did the 5 years has been removed from the conversion. But if you want to tap in the account before the 5 years, you're just going to have to pay income tax on the gains you've had. No big deal. Yeah, I'm right on it. Okay, big fan of cash, a big fan of stocks, not a big fan of bonds. But then I vacillate from that because I love the Wellington Fund. I think the Wellington Fund is great. When I'm done with my course, which I'll finish up this week, I promise I'll be revisiting that book, Retire on Wellington. I just think it's great fun. I love it. Been around for a long time, and it's just done great. And that doesn't mean we'll continue to do so, but I'm pretty comfortable saying that's a good one-stop shop. Let's see. Is there a rule of thumb on how much dividends are cut during a month? Yeah, I don't know, man. Just remember, if they cut the dividend, they won't pay to zero. They won't pay the preferred shareholders either. And a lot of the preferred shareholders are literally preferred shareholders, i.e. Warren Buffett's of the world. No way Warren Buffett is going to sit tight if Citibank cuts their dividends to nothing. That way Warren Buffett doesn't get paid. So if they don't pay the dividends, they're not paying the preferreds. And the preferreds are the people that have voting rights. They're going to say, not necessarily voting rights, but generally speaking, the people who buy the preferreds are the big wigs that say, hey, we're going out to play golf, and trust me, you aren't cutting that dividend to nothing because I need to get my preferred shares paying the dividend. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Will they cut it to zero? Hard to imagine. If they cut to 1 penny like they did in 2007, sure. But as long as they cut to 1 penny, the preferred shareholders still get their dividends. That's just a fact. So I don't know if there's any rule of thumb on how much dividends get cut. I don't know. In fact, it's interesting. If you look at the Japan craziness in 1990s and 2000s, they were still making money. They were still profitable, but their balance sheets were just falling apart. But they were still making money. So, as long as they're making money and they can have profits, they can still make the dividends most likely. Can you provide some detail? All right. And right capital under. Did we go this? Oops. Blue wrench who, man? Yeah, I must have missed it. Ooh. Oh, man. Pablo paper train himself. Oh, man. Yeah, right on. Von Eichmann. Oh, God. Is there really a guy coming on here to call himself Eichmann? Can you imagine? Eichmann. He freaking just a loser. Cincinnati, right on, right on. All right. I'll make you a mod, AK. Ah, look at that. Why you gotta be back here being stupid? AK, you're not a mod. All right, thank you. All right, MG Town. I have 70K in various retirement accounts. How do I take distributions? I'm 69 years young. Well, you're going to have to start taking through your required minimum distributions, brother. If they're in various retirement accounts, there's no getting around that, man. When you are retired and collecting dividends, do you still need to report anything? It's tax-free. I'm a retired state government worker. I will not get Social Security. Am I doomed? Well, I don't think you're doomed. I mean, I imagine your pension is going to more than offset the Social Security, Sean. So I don't think you're doomed. Obviously, I don't know what the Massachusetts, I think, where you are. I'm not sure how. My man Jimmy sent me an article on the pension crisis at every state. I'm going to read that, go over that the next couple of days. Is an article. Hold on just a second, which I'm not going to read here tonight, but it looked good. It was, I'm not going to find it right now. But anyway, Sean, yeah, I mean, you got a local government pension that will offset your Social Security plus some. Nah, you'll be fine. Take from tax deferred accounts first. My presumption is all from tax deferred accounts, but I don't know. All right. So MGTOW, they're 401k primarily, and the bank IRA. Yeah, there's really not much you can do, man. You're gonna have to take them out as required minimum distributions as the IRS dictates. So not much you got to do. And you're also most likely be on Social Security too. So yeah, you're just gonna have to pay the tax, man. I wish there was anything better to offer, but unfortunately there's not, because IRS wants theirs for sure. I really do love this calculator. I got 3 of them, my trusty calculator. All I know is the nuns beat into me for 12 years of school. You want to know what the nuns did to my wife's dad? His literally a drunken Irishman, literally from Ireland, sent him to an orphanage in the Bronx when, like in the 1930s or 40s or something like that. And his little brother, because he left his mom, long story short, the dad was a drunken Irishman. The mom the mom had no money to raise him. So they sent him to a Catholic orphanage in the Bronx. And the nuns, when my wife's dad's little brother wet the bed, the nuns literally beat him so badly, they broke his ribs. That's white privilege by the way. That's white privilege. Broke his ribs. And so when his mom was finally able to get a little bit of income, she pulled him out of the orphanage. But that's good Catholic teaching there. Let's break the ribs of the little kid because his little brother was wet in the bed. Yeah, good stuff. But he was a staunch Catholic. In fact, he went to the same high school as Antonin Scalia, excuse me. And we actually have up here in my attic the yearbook of Antonin Scalia's picture at some high school, some Catholic high school in the Bronx that they went to. Pretty interesting, huh? So I got a yearbook with Antonin Scalia's sophomore class. That's my dad went to, not my dad, my wife's dad went to high school. Yeah, I think that's right. Getting a pension, I think, is probably better than Social Security because it's more based on the local politicians, where Social Security is not so much. You see what I'm saying? Social Security, they do these blue ribbon commissions to cut your benefits and all that. And that way, no one's taking responsibility. At least the local politicians have more stake in the game to make sure they don't cut your pension. But look at what's going on in Chicago. Got a big lib mayor, and she told the city teachers, we got no money. There's literally no money. And we've all known that, but the teachers don't believe it. The teachers don't believe it. The teachers don't believe it. And lo and behold, there is no money. This is what is going to happen across the country as these pensions. Wait till the next market chaos, by the way. Wait till the next market crash. These local pensioners in states that aren't run well are going to be in a world of hurt, but yet they're giving all this free college to legal immigrants. And yet the pensioners who deserve the money, rightly or wrongly, but they negotiated for it by law, they're going to get the short end of the stick. There's no other way around that. But let's give free health care and free tuition to illegals. Crazy. All right. My pension's equal to what he used as examples. Josh gave me the knowledge to take the early retirement. Right on, Sean. I don't care what they say about Sean. He's all right guy. Vanessa says, excellent advice. Good person, too. Not sure she's talking about me, but if so, thank you. I'm missing all this. Pipe dream. What parallel universe am I from? I'm not sure. There's Buddhists in Thailand are very mellow and happy. Right on, man. Chicago in the house. Buddhists are chill AF. Very chill, and they're not stony. How is this Saturday Night Live is so liberal and all making fun of? Well, I don't understand. I don't get why, and I've never understood this about the media. Mark, why they all preach the same tune? It's nuts, just from basic marketing. If everyone's over here and you have this huge audience over here, why don't you meet your audience? And look, I don't watch Fox News, but at the end of the day, it inherently makes sense that someone's going to come along and say, there's a whole group of people that aren't having the needs met. Let's reach out to them. It's crazy. And then on the nighttime comics, so Jimmy Kimmel and these guys, I mean, freaking fools. But I'm just sitting there thinking, the funny thing is there are a lot of comics who aren't far lefties. I mean, I listen to Dennis Miller's podcast all the time. Love Dennis Miller. I listen to Bill Burr. I don't think he's a kind of lefty, but he's a common sense guy. There's another one I was listening to the other day. Hell, Joe Rogan. I mean, he's liberal, but he's not a lefty. Crazy. What would I missed all that? More stay-at-home parents and kids wouldn't act like animals today. Yeah, Eddie Haskell's a pain, man. Vacuuming and pearls in a dress and high heels too. Jude Cleaver, pearls in a dress and high heels. Oh man, that is awesome. I'm glad that my wife was able to stay at home with our kids. Look, and all you women who did not stay at home, nothing but respect to you too. It's not about this or that. I'm just telling you, I hate that when they try to pigeonhole. Oh, so you think all women should stay home? No. I was raised by a single mom. I know what it's like. I see what the freaking trials and tribulations they go through. I got nothing but respect for those freaking fine people. Nothing but at all. But at the end of the day, a two-parent family household is going to have more stability. And we know this just from a pure income basis, nothing else. Two-parent families are a higher income than single-parent families. This is not, it's just the way it is. And that bothers some people as if we're disparaging them. Not in the least. And if you're a single mom raising your children, man, I got nothing but, if you're a single dad raising the children, I got nothing but respect. Absolutely nothing. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I don't need to say it because my respect is absolutely unequivocal. But let's not freaking hide away from the reality is that a two-parent stable household is better. There are always exceptions, always. When my parents got divorced, it was a breath of fresh air. I'm telling you, because it just won't go there. Anyway. You mean you evolved the acceptance of gays, so in 20 years you will accept liberals? I accept liberals. I just don't accept Antifa. I don't at all. I don't accept commies and socialism. I mean, socialism, I just think is, I don't like it. But commies, no. Antifa, no. But no, I've always accepted gays, Sean. I just didn't accept gay marriage. But I've always, like I said a million times a Sunday, my mom was a bookkeeper for a gay restaurant in the late 70s and early 80s in Maine, in Portland, Maine. And we knew all kinds of gay people. And the stories about the gays that would come into the restaurant and die a couple of days later because of AIDS had a big impact on me for sure, without question. I remember it was like it was yesterday. I remember some of the guys would come down the island and walk around with us, and gay as the day is long. I've never had any problem with gays, none whatsoever. I never liked gay marriage until I realized, wait a second, if marriage is good, don't we want people, even if they're same sex, to be married? Yeah, probably. If that's going to make more stable households, I think so. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. But at this stage, I just don't care. Yeah. My wife raised the kids and works. Got to pull her weight. Got to go get dinner. Oh man! Put a single mom of 4 in prison for 10 years. Her 4 kids were placed in a foster care. I've wondered for the past what happened to those kids. Oh, man. Yeah, Rob. But I mean, at the end of the day, if she needs to be in prison for whatever reason she was found guilty, I mean, what are you going to do? So if your income as a couple is $44,000, you collect Social Security, you make $1 more than taxes. something like that, Prairie. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, basically when you're sitting down that way, if your income is 44,000 and you make one more dollar, then you're going to pay $1.85 more as well. $1.85 will be more in taxes to you of taxable income, if that makes sense. Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, my wife freaking kick-ass take names. We went to a party last night and she had 2 beers, and she was not frisky, if you know what I'm saying, but she was, I'd never seen her loud like that for a while. And it was fun. She was having a good time. I was very glad to see her, and I don't drink. So, which is good because, she hadn't drank for a while. And I was glad to see her, loosen up a little bit because she's hardcore, not frisky, keep your head in and out of the gutter, my friends. But yeah, she enjoyed herself for sure. So that was good. She's a very good judge of character too, by the way. And might I add, gorgeous. My health improved when I retired too. Right on, man. That's brother Prairie, Mark. I think that happens to a lot of people, and I think it happens to not some people. Some men, in particularly, their reason for living is work, and that's sad. But I think a lot of people, when they quit their crappy old job, find a new lease on life. I really do. That's freaking awesome, dude. Love hearing it. 7-day weekend. All right. All I need is Josh on YouTube. Right on, Sean. Appreciate it. All right. Well, I guess we'll, given the importance of retiring, no mortgage debt, I'm about to retire. Would paying off mortgage from IRA be wise? No, I don't think so, David, because then you're going to have to pay the tax on the money you take out from your IRA to pay off the mortgage. And I'm not a fan of that. So let's say your mortgage is $100,000. It's going to cost you $125,000 in one fell swoop in which to pay off that mortgage. I'm just not a fan. There's nothing wrong. I talked about this to the course. I guess I'm overselling the course. I don't care. But the reverse mortgage stuff, I don't get why people don't look at reverse mortgages more. I'm just telling you. Now, I will tell you, I guarantee that your debt level is going to be here and your equity level is going to be here. So let me just real quick, and I'll wrap this up because I think someone out there might need to go potty. All right, so I want to show with you a reverse mortgage here, how it works. So we got a $200,000 fair market value of your home. All right, so we're just going to say someone who's 65, a $200,000 fair market value of your home. If you're 65, you're going to get a principal limiting factor, PLF, and you should read Wade Fowles' book on this, by the way, of about, we'll say 45%, give or take, if you're 65 years old. So that means you're going to have $90,000 you can borrow. So we got 200,000 is our fair market value. 90,000 is the amount we can borrow, right? Because the government wants you to have a significant amount of equity because the government doesn't want to be held wet bag if the market tumbles and they have to owe more than what the house is worth because it's a government guaranteed note. It really is. The bank has no risk of being upside down. The government is assuming the risk. And the reason they assume the risk, how they do it, is they charge you 2% on the fair market value of your house when you take the reverse mortgage. And then they charge you 50 basis points or 0.5 of 1% each and every month of your payment. Or, I guess it's a year. Yeah, but basically you pay an interest rate, you pay a lender's fee, basically your interest rate's 5 and you're going to pay 0.5% to the government for mortgage insurance premium, if that makes sense. So it's not 50 basis points every month, but it's part of the interest rate. So if your total net cost you is 5.5, the 0.5 of that goes to the government for the mortgage insurance premium. So not only you're paying 2% on the 2% on the front end for the mortgage insurance premium, you're also paying 0.5% each and every year. All right. So what happens is we're going to say your house grows at 2% a year appreciation value. So 2% a year appreciates, but this 90,000 grows at 5.5%. So what's happening inherently is your house is growing like this, but the debt is growing like that. All right. So after, let's see, 200,000 present value, 0 payment, 2% is the interest rate. After 25 years, your house will be worth 328. So after 25 years, your house will be worth 328. But the debt you owe will be 343. So what's happening here is just basic compounding. So you start with much more equity than your debt, but because you're only getting 2% appreciation, but the debt is growing at 5.5%, your house in 25 years is only worth 328, but the debt is 343. But because these are non-recourse loans, the only amount that your kids will have to pay if you die would be this 328. They just pay it by selling the house. So there's a non-recourse loan means inherently you'll never owe more than what the house can be sold for, if that makes sense. So in this case, you die, you leave your kids with $343,000 in debt. They won't have to. They'll just have to pay the house off by selling the house. The rest of that is wiped away because of that 2% mortgage insurance premium and the 0.5% mortgage insurance premium we're paying every year. Now, people say, I leave no equity to my kids. Well, I'm telling you, man, if the difference is between you living like a pauper so your kids can live like kings, or having some significant amount of income that you can enjoy your retirement, well, take the freaking reverse mortgage, man. It's not a scam. The reverse mortgage never put anybody out. I despise the negativity that comes with reverse mortgages as if there's some evil product. I say this on blue in the face, they're inanimate. They don't do anything. They literally just sit there. They have no good, no evil attached to them because that can't be attached to inanimate objects. Now, people can use them poorly, but people can use them poorly by not paying their property tax, but people can also not pay their property tax on a house that's completely paid off. So does that mean, Dave Ramsey, that if I had a paid off house and I didn't pay my property tax and I got written up in the Washington Post for being put out by the sheriff, would Dave Ramsey now read this article that paying off your house is a scam? Because that's what he says about reverse mortgages. That had nothing to do with getting put out of your home by not paying a reverse mortgage. It had to do with not paying your friggin' property tax. Anyway, so one of the examples I use going back to my course, and I don't even need to use it for the couple, but for single Susie, I say, look, we can incorporate a reverse mortgage into this to see if we can make it work. Now, a reverse mortgage isn't the saving grace that some of these guys would make it seem like that you see on TV. Fred Thompson, I guess he's dead, or Fonzie, or whatnot. But why not at least consider it? If you got this house that's paid for, has equity in there, or if you got a small mortgage that you can pay off with a reverse mortgage so you don't have to carry that debt into retirement, why not look into it? It doesn't make sense to me. Are they cheap? No. Are you going to make a lot of money? No. But can you at least get rid of the mortgage? Yes. Oh, man, it's crazy. All right. Yeah. Oh, man, Chewini, super smart, love to play. Yeah. No, man, Peter, Pablo here, lapdog, pardon none. Crazy. All right. Here's Cheryl. We'll stop here tonight. My question, is it wise to pay mortgage for well, just answered. Okay, good. So no, I'm not a big fan of the lump sum and paying off the mortgage to IRA from IRA, Cheryl, just because I don't like having to pay it, all the tax on that. Again, if it's a $100,000 mortgage, it's probably going to cost you $125,000 in which to take from your IRA and to pay that off. I just don't think it's worth it. I thought I saw my man Scott in here. Hey, Great Rip is here. What does Scott say? Yeah. All right. We're moving to White Side Ready Wellington this week. Right on, man. Right on. All right, folks. I think I'm going to get out of here. Lazy portfolio. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, Carl. Sorry. I don't know anything about it. Sorry, brother. Thanks for being here for 2 whole minutes or 2 whole hours. And I appreciate y'all being here. Stay tuned. Don't forget Wednesday at noon. If you can take it during your lunch break. You got it, Big A. Appreciate y'all being part of the Blue Wrench crowd for sure. You got it, Cheryl. Jazz going to run 50 basis points. Yeah. Not a big fan of Dustin over there at Jazz. Let me take this buddy out, and we shall see who's winning the World Series. All right, we'll see you guys. Oh, and then again, put your in the comments or here, I guess the comments, your state and town. What I literally don't care, but I'm gonna pick out 2 subscriptions to the Energy Advocate. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks. Now, sign out of this thing right there. All right, Pablo, you ready?